The winter of 1939 was one of the coldest in human history. In the dense, frozen forests of Karelia, the temperature plummeted to -40 degrees. To the invading Soviet Red Army, the landscape was a white, silent purgatory. They expected a quick victory, a stroll across the Finnish border. What they found instead was a ghost. A man who didn't use a telescopic sight. A man who didn't use his semi-automatic rifle. A man who weighed barely 110 pounds and stood 5 feet tall. Yet, in just 100 days of sunlight-deprived warfare, this man would claim over 500 lives, becoming the most lethal sniper in the history of human conflict. This is the story of Simo Häyhä. This is the story of the White Death. Simo Häyhä was not born a soldier. He was born a farmer and a hunter. Growing up in the small town of Rajärvi, near the Russian border, his life was defined by the rhythms of the land. He spent his days trekking through the wilderness, tracking game, and learning the subtle language of the forest. In 1925, he completed his mandatory year of military service, but he didn't stay in the army. He returned to his farm, joined the Finnish Civil Guard, and spent his weekends in shooting competitions. His trophies weren't for show. They were proof of a terrifying level of precision. Witnesses claimed that Simo could estimate distances so accurately by eye that he rarely needed to adjust his sights. He could hit a target 500 feet away, 16 times in a single minute. When the Soviet Union launched its invasion on November 30th, 1939, starting the Winter War, Simo was called to the Kala River. He didn't bring high-tech gear. He brought his bolt-action M/28-30 rifle and a lifetime of knowing how to disappear in the cold. How does one man kill 500 soldiers in 100 days? It wasn't just through marksmanship. It was through total environmental mastery. Simo developed a set of tactics that defied the standard sniper manual of the time. First, he refused to use a telescopic sight. While other snipers relied on glass lenses for accuracy, Simo knew that glass had two fatal flaws in the Finnish winter. First, it could fog up or frost over in the extreme cold. Second, the glint of the sun reflecting off a lens would give away his position. He used iron sights, which kept his profile lower and his vision clearer. Second, he understood the physics of the snow. He would compact the snow in front of his rifle barrel so that the muzzle blast wouldn't kick up a cloud of white powder and reveal his location. He even kept snow in his mouth while he waited. This served a chilling purpose. It prevented his warm breath from creating a visible vapor trail in the freezing air. He wore a heavy, white camouflage suit. He moved under the cover of night or during the brief 4 hours of winter daylight. He would find a spot and wait, sometimes for 12 hours straight, motionless as the temperatures dropped low enough to freeze oil. To the Soviet soldiers, the Finnish woods began to feel haunted. Men would be walking, talking to a comrade, and in a heartbeat, that comrade would be gone. There was no sound of a distant shot, no flash of a muzzle, only the sudden, violent reality of a bullet. The Red Army began to call him Deadliest, the White Death. The Soviet command became so desperate to eliminate him that they organized dedicated counter-sniper missions. They sent their best marksmen to find him. None of them returned. When snipers failed, they tried artillery. If they suspected Simo was in a certain sector of the forest, they would rain down indirect fire, carpet bombing the trees in hopes of catching him in the blast. They once shredded his coat with shrapnel and blew his hat off his head, but Simo remained. He was a shadow that refused to bleed. The psychological toll was massive. Entire platoons refused to move forward, paralyzed by the knowledge that one man was watching them from the white void. On March 6th, 1940, Simo's luck finally met its limit. During a close-quarters engagement in the forest, a Soviet soldier spotted him and fired an explosive bullet. It struck Simo in the lower left jaw. The impact was devastating. The bullet shattered his face, tearing away his cheek and crushing his jawbone. He was picked up by his fellow soldiers, who said half his head was missing. He fell into a deep coma. As Simo lay unconscious in a military hospital, the Winter War came to an end. A peace treaty was signed on March 12th. On March 13th, the very day the war stopped, Simo Haiho woke up. He looked in the mirror at a face that would never be the same. He had lost his farm to the new Soviet borders, and he had lost his physical health. But he had survived a war that many thought would be the end of Finland. Simon Haiha lived a long life after the war. He became a successful moose hunter and a dog breeder. He rarely spoke of the conflict. He was a modest man who, when asked how he became such a great shot, simply replied, "Practice." When researchers and historians visited him in his later years, they asked if he felt regret for the hundreds of men he had killed. His answer was the answer of a man who saw himself not as a killer, but as a protector. He said, "I only did what I was told to do as well as I could. There would be no Finland unless everyone else had done the same." Simo passed away in 2002 at the age of 96. He remains a symbol of national resilience, a reminder that the smallest force, if disciplined and determined, can withstand the greatest of empires. In the annals of military history, there are many names etched in gold, but few carry the chilling weight of the man in the white parka. He wasn't a monster. He was a farmer with a rifle, a man of the snow, the undisputed White Death.